Greta Thunberg arrived at the US and hit DC like a wrecking ball, to use a very relevant musical reference. But no, really, like in the same way that she has just bulldozed BS excuses from politicians across Europe, she's now doing the same thing here. Let's go to a little bit of her congressional testimony.
My name is Greta Thunberg. I have not come to offer any prepared remarks at this hearing. I am instead attaching my testimony. It is the IPCC Special Report on Global Warming of 1.5 degrees Celsius, the SR 1.5, which was released on October 8th, 2018. I am submitting this report as my testimony because I don't want you to listen to me. I want you to listen to the scientists. And I want you to unite behind the science. And then I want you to take real action.
That's a strong move. Like, I mean, like I would be crippled with anxiety and fear if I were testifying before that. She comes in and she's like, no, I'm not, it's a great opportunity, thanks for bringing me here. I'm not giving you my testimony. I'm giving you this report, finally read it. I like that.
Again, we were just discussing, I believe she's 16 years old. You were telling me now, I thought she was 14,
believe so.
15. Either way it goes, she's in that age range. And I want you to put yourself in the position of being a 16-year-old at best, at the oldest, and testifying before Congress after touring the world and continuing to try to convince the most powerful people in the world about what's blatantly in front of everyone's face and what we can do about it. And presenting it without going, hey, I'm just this kid, you should listen to me because I'm cute, which is a lot of times people will use children to try and push together some kind of agenda. She's coming to you with facts. She goes, stop looking at me, stop talking about me. Let's talk about the scientists and the science that's behind it.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, we got 25-year-olds that don't understand how to approach these types of things or how to even speak on it. It's impressive. And
or 65-year-old politicians who don't know how.
True, and it's impressive, and I hope that there's a different voice that allows people to actually look at the real thing behind it.
Yeah, and so look, the climate strikes are coming up this Friday, next Friday. I'm gonna be downtown LA for this Friday. Emma Vigeland's gonna be at the New York, because these strikes are going on obviously all over the place. We're gonna give you information then, but to give you an idea about some of the psychology behind some of the leaders of the groups that are leading these strikes, take a look at how she received some of the attempts at like praise that, like a young person goes to Washington, meets with politicians, the normal sorts of things politicians will say to them. Look at her response. So Senator Ed Markey, who's actually one of the better Democrats on climate change, co-sponsor of the Green New Deal, he says to Greta, we need your leadership. Young people are the army. You put a spotlight on this issue in a way that there has never been before. And she responded, please save your praise, we don't want it. Don't invite us here to tell us how inspiring we are without doing anything about it. We don't want to be invited to these kinds of meetings because honestly, they don't lead to anything.
Straight up. And okay, and you know what? I'm okay if you want to start by assuming that she's a puppet and there's puppeteers and there's these people with this lib agenda that are using her for their own purposes. I don't think she was given that line.
No.
I don't think she was prepared to talk to Ed Markey, who was out to praise her. So were they prepared for all this? They feed her that line too? Like, again, I'm okay if you want to criticize if someone's being used, because I don't think children should be used when they're not really the person that's involved.
Yeah.
But in this case, I think it's pretty obvious it's coming from her.
Yeah. There's one other example of that, by the way. So at one point, Senator Tom Carper, another Democrat, told the assembled environmental activists they'd soon have the opportunity to seek office themselves, bringing more concrete change. And she responded, we don't want to become politicians. We don't want to run for office. We want you to unite behind the science. I'm sorry, I know you're probably trying very hard, and this is not personally to any one of you, but generally to everyone. I know you're trying, but just not hard enough. For a kid to say that to a politician, and a politician who considers himself, obviously an ally on this issue. And look, it's not to say that there aren't reasons. He can put forward whatever bill he wants right now, and as of right now, barring something happening, the Senate's not going to do anything on it. But something could happen. I don't necessarily know what it is. I don't necessarily have like the magic button that changes things, but they are politicians and they have a lot of power. And there is a hypothetical world in which they have placed the sort of pressure on Mitch McConnell and other Republicans where something does actually get done. And that is what she wants. She's not interested in even my excuses like the Republicans can block any legislation, and that's good.
Yeah, it's working.
So this strike is going to happen, and just as we gear up for this strike, Couple little pieces of news just to bear in mind, super fast. Today, Trump announced that California's right to set its own fuel emission standards, that's gone. He's axing that. Yep. So there's the federal CAF standards, so set up under Barack Obama. Obviously, he's getting rid of those, so higher fuel economy across the country. But even our states' rights choice to have higher emission standards for ourselves, considering smog and all of that, nope, they're not allowing it. So if you ever hear about states' rights, just remember this. Yeah. So more fuel-efficient cars, he's not interested, he's breaking that. Let's see, AOC was recently commenting on a new report showing that extreme weather has already displaced 7 million people this year, saying, remember when we said climate change would cause mass migration and the right called us crazy? Well, it's happening, and walling ourselves off from the world isn't a plan for our future. It's time to recognize climate refugees in our immigration policies. That is not a report saying that by 2050 there will be 7 million climate refugees. That's right now, already in the first half of the year. It is only going to get worse from here on out. And especially worse if we don't do anything. Every time, and as we continue, and whoever politicians from whatever place or leaders want to say, look at all these folks coming over here, they're invading us, bring this back up, because they're gonna blame the people that are the victims of the problem. Yeah, as usual. Yeah, they have their conspiracy theories about George Soros organizing caravans. You're causing it. Not directly, you don't want to, but you're causing climate migrants to have to flee the countries that they're from through your inability or unwillingness to do anything about climate change. And if it was your father, your grandfather that started the whole thing, that's okay, they're gone now. Now it's your turn to do something different. Here on the Damage Report, we talk a lot about the big banks and their ways of getting rich off the poor. They saturate the market, but there are other options. And I've got info on a socially and environmentally responsible financial institution that has no ATM fees, gives you cash back on every purchase. They even commit 10% of their earnings to charity. It's called Aspiration, and if you go to aspiration.com/TYT to sign up, you'll get these perks, and that's more money to spend or to save or to spend. Just treat yourself.